Assalamu alaikum. Naam, I'm back. Alhamdulillah. Naam. Well, just to make sure that I clarify from the second video that I was inshallah returning back, because I meant to say that, and that's very important. That's part of your belief in the one deity and word that's worthy of worship, Allah, is to know that He is the only one that wills for you to do anything in this life, even if it's bad, the good or the bad. It's already ordained that you would have done whatever you do, and He can stop it, and He can allow it to happen. So if it was something that I wanted to do or say that I wanted to do, I'm supposed to say inshallah, which means by Allah's will, within His will, that it will happen, that I will be able to do it. This is part of Tawheed. It all connects to it. That's the difference between a Muslim and other than a non-Muslim, is that we put our trust fully, our belief, our life in Allah's hands. Everything. And that's what Islam means, is to submit and surrender to Allah. So that's the basic point. So it's got to, inshallah is part of that surrender and submission, because He is the only one. You're putting yourself in His hands. He has control over your life. So basically, again, this to get to the point, these videos that I'm going to do, they may end up being 4. I'm going to try to fit in 4 factors, and if I can't do a factor each, if I can't do 2 factors in each video, well, I will try to just at least do 1 for 4 videos. But if I can fit in at least 2, then I can probably finish up without having to make it 4. Which really doesn't matter. You can watch it or not watch it. It's up to the listener and the viewer. And along with it, of course, I ask that you subscribe and help and support my channels, because I need the help as far as to continue to be able to do my videos and get some get some ratings, because then it helps people to know that it is interesting videos to watch, and they will learn as well. Because I'm not a scholar or anything like that, but I'm one that I love giving what I learned to those who would like to learn, or who are open-minded to learn, and especially Muslims, my Muslim brothers and sisters in the faith, that some of us don't know our faith enough, and I'm still learning. I'm a student, always a student, and always will be till you die. You're always going to be trying to learn Islam. Islam is like the knowledge there from it is like vast, like the ocean and beyond, because the Quran is the foundation of its knowledge, and the Prophet's way in his life, which is known as the Quran and the Sunnah. And they have so much vast knowledge that you can never live to understand everything in your life. You wouldn't have that lifespan, and Allah knows best. But anyway, back to the point. The second factor, and the second factor deals with social living, social life. Of course, it's connected again to our Creator, but the social meaning. The social is how we live our life that He gave us. I already spoke on the reason that we were created. The reason that we were put here is to worship Him alone. That's the main reason. But He gave us life to live it. He gave us this life to live, and to live it right, live it correctly, meaning to live it in an obedient manner. There's things that we were given to do and not to do. There are things that we were given to do and not to do. And I'm talking to myself, again, like I mentioned in my other videos, first, because I'm not perfect. I fall. I have things that I have to work on and do. Of course, come to my Lord and ask Him for forgiveness, and and to try to keep on going and straighten up. There's a lot of things that all of us have to straighten up as Muslims. No Muslim is perfect. And don't get it twisted, or as they say, or don't get it incorrect. Like we're better than you because we are perfect. No, only Allah places us in our position that we are in a position of being more pleasing to Him because we might do what He's pleased with more, than the average human being that is more of trying to please himself or themselves, their own desires, or another being's desires. You might be in love, and some people like say love is the way to good life or happiness. Yeah, but not the love that we feel that we have created between another person or other human beings. Because if you know, another human being is not perfect, like you are not perfect. So when you don't love for Allah and love that other human being, or even an animal, or you love a thing, anything that's created, especially if it's created by man, like statues, these people love these statues and they made them gods in the times of the pagans and the God worshipping people who worshipped in polytheism. And they still have people like that today. They still do this. And I'm not trying to speak on the insult, like insulting anybody. I'm speaking just what it is. This is reality. You know who you are. You know what you do. You know how you believe in your faith or whatever. And fine. But it's facts, facts. Okay, so the facts of the second factor is that we're not pleasing Allah. We're doing things that are disobedient to Him. And the first one I spoke about is worshiping other than Him. But that's already clear. The second factor is dealing with what we do and causes us to get into where we get to. For one example, which is a real big thing that has affected many of us, is the sin of racism. And I say that affects us more than some of the other sins. Like fornication affects really bad because you got diseases, you got unpure infectious diseases that come about, like gonorrhea and this and syphilis and all these types of things that create dysfunctions in people's bodies. Then it also creates a dysfunctional mental mind because the people are lewd-minded thinking people. They're going to do all kinds of crazy stuff. And then when they don't join into being able to be satisfied with that, they might even go as far as harming a person to get that which they are pervert in. So that's why you got perversion, and you got all these different things that come with it: pornography, child molestation, rape, so many things within lewdness of sexuality. And I'm not going to talk about the other ones because people are too sensitive with the new founded or the new coming out of the closet type of sexual lewdness that's been always there. It's even times of the people of Lut or Lot, Sodom and Gomorrah. Get the message? Anyway. But the point in the second, that's one of the second. But like I said, the racism has become to be one of the worst because people trotted over and conquered over many different other people's races to put themselves in a position of superiority, thinking they're better than another human being. And that started even with Iblis, with the shaitan. That's where it first originated, it with the devil, as they say today, from biblical books and words, and from the Jews as well. The devil, Lucifer, whatever you want to call it. But in Islam we call him shaitan. Okay, which is a cursed one. This being was known as a jinn when he first was created, and then he came to be known as a beautiful jinn, a jinn that was from the jinn creation, that was beautiful, that was, handsome, and looked very, very handsome out of all the others. And he was good at that time, but because of his jealousy and racist infected jealousy of that, he felt his being of who he was created to be was better than another being that came to be known as the first human being, Adam alayhi salam, the first, as we know from Islam, the first prophet of God, but the first man of creation, human being. And when he was created, to basically put the story, Iblis did not like that he was to be what? Placed in a position higher than him. And he was like, who is he? Who is this creation made of flesh and clay, water, things that is not as great as his what he was made up of, which was smokeless fire. A more stronger substance. This is arrogance and an ego of yourself, thinking you're better, and now you're a different race, you're a different species of creation, and you thinking you're better than the other one. So this had trickled down through mankind's, desires, to desire to be better than someone else, and that you are above that person, and then you would even dehumanize the people or the person. And this is what has happened, but because the people also, when these things were allowed by Allah, was to show proof that Allah was not pleased with those people, that he allowed the racist people who trod and massacred and went upon the earth and took over and controlled the rest of the people in their lands by force. This happened because of the displeasure that Allah had for them. And it starts again with Tawheed. If you leave off from pleasing Allah and doing what's right by Allah, he's going to allow the harms to come to you more than, even though struggle is going to always be a part of our life. This is what life is, even for the believer. But the believer gets a better life if he lives obedient to Allah. And if you're a disbeliever, don't even expect you're going to have a better life. You're only going to try to get the better life that you think you're going to get. But also Allah shows that the disbeliever may enjoy this life, but the hereafter you will not have. Because you cannot go into the hereafter have the good in the hereafter, I should say, because you was disobeying him and you didn't even believe in him while he was alive. So how do you expect now you want to believe in him when you see the truth, when that day comes, when that time comes? Just like a person walks out their house, they don't believe it's going to rain, and the rain starts coming down. Boom! What are they going to do? They can't do nothing. It's too late. They're getting all wet up. Same with that, with the day of Yom Qiyamah, the day of judgment. We're going to get rained on with the reality of what it is, what Allah created us to be. We're going to be checked in our grave even first. When the Malakul Maut, when the angel of death comes, he's going to check. He's going to let you know and make you be revealed your what's going to be of you. You're going to know in that grave first. You're going to know what you disbelieved in. But back to the point, this disbelief, again, like I said, is a big, that's the major, one of the major disobedience to Allah. That is not forgiven unless that person becomes a believer. Disbelief. And then believing in other gods other beings, worshiping themselves, or what have you, are the worst sins. The worst. And are not forgiven until that person comes away from that and has to do a lot of worship and proof to Allah to show that they believe in Allah. But the basic, again, the second factor is that disobeying Allah and doing all these sinful things, and racism is a major thing in these times today. People still trying to overtake and control people's lands and control people, and look at it in Israel, what they're doing what they've been doing to the Philistines. Look at and these are Muslims all over the world. The Muslims are being, and then you got Muslims that have done some bad as well and harming the people, which is not from our faith. We're not supposed to take over people's lands forcefully. We come there, we want to make a land, we want to make a life there, then you'll be peaceful. It's not your land. You don't have the right to take it over unless you grow up into the process in that land, and then you become a ruler, or you become a person that is going to rule over the land, and then you other Muslims become leaders and rulers of that land. That the people are going to have to, of course, follow now a Muslim rulership. That's different, but not, you come there and you just take it over and kill the people and massacre the people like it's been going on. The Native Americans here. People being brought into oppression, like my ancestors, people from African descent. This is the worst. But for those who that has been done to, you have to come to your Lord and straighten up. And that's the second factor. It's going to go and leak into the third factor of the complaints that I've been hearing. Africans being thrown out of their homes or places they're staying in, countries like China and stuff, and all these different other countries, and the racism here in America that totally continually exists. Hasn't gone nowhere. It just was under the rug. It was just hidden because the people didn't want to get prosecuted or sued or whatever. Because they did a racial discrimination or whatever. They get their business shut down, just like now with homosexuality and the LGBT, whatever they call it, communities and people. They'll get you shut down right away with discrimination. Better believe that. But that's what we're dealing with now, And there's a lot more in relation to this second factor, but look, the time went by so fast. What I would like to say before it really actually finishes up to the point where I need to stop, that we need to straighten our lives up and get away from that and the other sins that I mentioned. And as a people, as African descendants, being back into the third factor for African descendant. The reason why I'm speaking on this is because this is what I keep hearing, and a lot of people that are from my community are African American, and they're worried, and we're worried. So I'm not speaking on I'm trying to be, racist or prejudiced and just speaking about black people. No. I'm not a Pan-Africanist. I'm not into black nationalism. That Islam is my way. But the truth is the truth, and the facts are the facts. And we have been done wrong for many, 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 many years, and still are. So in order for us to be done right, we have to do right by ourselves. We got to be right to ourselves or to each other. And as a communities all over this world, African Americans or African British or African West Indians or African Europeans, the people African descent that are living in these lands, and they call them the African diaspora, need to return back to that where we came from. Not on a nationalistic basis. Again, I'm trying to tell you, even though there are some that are doing that, but return to where you came from, because it is your original land that has given you the needs that you need, because you're not getting those needs anywhere you're at. You're getting less of, you're getting deprived, you've been deprived. Even oppression was the first for African Americans and then those in the West Indies that were taken there before they got freedom. And this deprivation is still going on. We're not always getting the rights that we deserve like every other human being. So where are you gonna go? Why are you gonna be in these places? The earth is spacious, as is mentioned from Islam. And Africa is very spacious. Again, I'm not into this Pan-Africanism stuff. I'm into facts. Africa is one of the biggest continents in the world, and verily has so much resources. Verily so. I mean, and opportunities for business and opportunities for so many things to live with a little more ease. The world's going to get to a rougher situation. When the Dajjal, like I mentioned, comes, it's going to be even worse. But do you want to live in worse? Or do you want to live in what you're able to at least breathe a little bit and move around and say, okay, well, we can't go but so far because the governments all over the world are controlled by that one being that's going to be here. And you'll be able to live off the grid easier. Not here, because they're going to lock it down like they are doing. And all of the Western countries, they're going to continue to lock it down. I might not have to even do the second video because I'm doing it now. I mean, the third video. But that's the third factor. The third factor that we have to take into consideration as a people. And then I'm going to speak on for all human beings, not just African American. But this is a segment for that because the facts is there. And I hear this from so many different, sources of the media speaking about our lives not being, having any sanctity, like they say lives don't matter, or they say black lives don't matter, but our lives don't matter that well around the world. Being able to live and function. We're like the French, these guys got a big, controversy going on in France. 2 doctors that said that Africa should be the testing grounds for the COVID-19 virus. Because why? Because they're Africans. They, what? So meaning, of course, they are those type of human beings. They're nothing. They're the ones that we need to practice on. They're used to being diseased and starved and all of the negatives that they try to say about people from Africa. Or black people, as they say. But, the point is, we had to look at ourselves and check our own wrongs at what we've been doing that contribute to the stereotypical or the way that they keep putting us into that disrespect of our humanity and the deprivation of our humanity or human rights. If you want respect, you got to show that you are a respectable person to gain that respect. But if we act like them or we act worse, you can't always expect that respect. And then be in their midst as well, because you see a drunken person and you're not a drunken person or a drinking person, you're going to remain around a drunken person? Do you like their presence? Do you like their company? No. You see a person who's a killer, you're going to hang out with a killer? No. But some of us do. Criminals, that's why we go to jail. Because we want to be represented as a criminal. Or we want to do what the criminals do. And then fall into what the criminals fall into. The worst of it is death, because now you can't straighten yourself with your Lord. Because you're gone. And then when you're gone, you can't do anything. You're done. It's over. So now you're gonna see, and you're gonna know what's gonna happen to you in your grave, and then you're gonna see Allah on the day of judgment, and you can't change what you've done, the disobedience that you did. Now you have the chance for those who are alive now, and no COVID virus taking your life or it's stricken you yet. If it has, you should even be more trying to straighten your life. And then I think the third video will be in getting into what we should do. And I'll try to bring that tonight if I can, but I don't think so. So maybe tomorrow I'll bring about trying what we should do, what we should be doing, eating right, leaving off of things we're supposed to leave off from, so we could be protected from this COVID-19 thing. Besides, of course, being a believer. And of course, you're going to make your choice. Everybody's going to do what they feel. You're going to disagree with what I'm saying. I mean, I can't change your heart, but I can bring what it is the haqq and what is the truth. And if you don't believe in it, that's up to you. If you don't follow it, that's up to you too. Any of that. And I ask Allah to guide you to Islam, those of you who are not Muslim, because that's where it starts, with your Lord, the change in your life. So may Allah guide us all. Ameen. And I'll speak to you soon again. Remember, subscribe, thumbs up, and all the rest that goes with it. Good night.